almost. There we go. Good afternoon, everybody. It's Angie Atkinson, and I'm here with the lovely and talented Lise Colucci. Lise, welcome back.
Thank you. Hello.
Hello. Always happy to have you with me. Okay. So as I'm waiting for my screen, oh, there we are. Okay, we're here. Yeah. So today we thought we would talk about what it looks like to lose yourself in a toxic relationship with a narcissist, and how to sort of start to get yourself back. Hello. Okay. That's the Jerry Seinfeld. Ooh, okay. Yeah, dated myself there. Okay. Hey, Shelly. All right, everybody. So as we are Zounds treetop in the house, so let's just start talking about it. So one of my arms keeps disappearing. I don't know what to do about it, so just ignore that. Okay. So I don't know about you guys. Hey, Peggy. I don't know about you guys, but when we are going through toxic relationships, personally, I mean, I'm not even entirely sure that I ever found myself. Hold on a minute before we carry on. There is information in the description of this video if you're looking for ways to get in touch with us, subscribe to channels, sign up for our text list so that we text you before we go live, all that good stuff. Check the description. Hello, Crystal. Hello, Fatima, Debbie, LNC. We have 2 people from the mod squad in the house, and I'm sure the others are on the way. Anywho, filling right up there. Okay, Lise, let's talk about it. So when you were in a toxic relationship, well, let me start here. I'll say this. I know Lise and I both had different things in our childhoods, but both had some trauma, put it that way. I think mostly well, we'll just say enough childhood trauma. Okay. And then as we grew up, we ended up in toxic relationships. Personally, I found myself, I didn't really even know exactly who I was. In the first place. I had an idea, but I also knew that person was not acceptable. I wasn't to my family and everyone around me. And so then as I became adult, I noticed that I would start to hide things about myself very early. Like I wanted to be an artist when I grew up, and my mother said, artists don't make any money, focus on other things. At 2nd grade, I said this, and she was like, artists don't make any money. You need to do something more, whatever. So I would sneak around and do my art stuff, starting very early. And then, of course, as I started to kind of find myself once I moved out, went to college, things like that, I started to date people and be with different people, and I would hide more and more parts of myself. And so it took me a really long time after I got divorced to even figure out who the heck I was and to be unashamed and unabashedly Angie. Right? How about you? Did you experience anything like that?
Oh yeah, I mean, very similar. There's a knowing hiding, and then there's the unknowing hiding. There's the stuff you're hiding and you know you're doing it, and you're like, why am I doing this?
Right.
Shame. You have this horrible feeling of pressure almost to make sure you keep that thing secret or hidden, and it almost doesn't feel bad to be hiding. It almost feels like that is you. Like it's really weird, right? Like it's not. And then when you think about it 5-10 years later, you're going, why was I hiding that? Like, who cares?
Yeah.
So what? I drew pictures, like, yeah, right. Right. So there's that. And then there's also the parts of self that are who we are. Basically, what I mean by that is how we interact with the world, how we experience the world, not only the things we do like and don't like, but truly who we are, our own actual opinion, our own actual self that's so covered up because of what we were taught and programmed.
Yes.
Because how can you see the world like clearly if you were taught you're not worth anything? You're always going to see the world through that filter.
Exactly. And that filter, in some ways, might be the narcissist's perception, right? Because they do.
It came from somewhere. We aren't born with that filter, is what I say. No one's born. Absolutely. No baby's like comes out and like looks at the world and goes, oh my gosh, I hate myself.
Right.
That doesn't happen, right? Yeah.
Totally. And on the same token, I think they tell us who we are and we start to believe them. No, anybody else? If you've been told who you are by a narcissist, I know you have, but everybody here in the chat, say yes right now. If you've been told who you are by a narcissist, that is something that I could never. I still, to this day, if I hear anybody tell me who I am, I'm like, excuse me? I mean, unless you're saying awesome. I mean, but, or things that are true. It's almost, it's not impossible to build your self-esteem while you're still in the relationship, but it certainly isn't it's never easy ever. But when you're still right, if you're still in with them, then yeah. So I wanted to, okay, so let's talk about how depersonalizing it is, which I know depersonalization is a thing, but that's not exactly what I mean. I mean, do you ever find yourself when you're in, I mean, did you, and personally, Lise, did you ever find yourself like almost like you look in the mirror, but you're not really there? Like you are there, obviously, you're not a vampire, but
yeah. Maybe.
Well.
Yes. I don't know if it was a mirror.
Well, not
Actually,
necessarily,
it wasn't a mirror, but for me, what it is when I'm experiencing something in life and I feel like I disappear.
That's right.
It's the same thing, but it's not in a mirror. But
and the mirror was for me was just a metaphor.
No, some people actually have that, like
yeah.
looking at their face in the mirror, like, who are you? You know.
Oh, I felt that. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Totally. Yeah.
And you feel like you're not there. Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, the mirror of it all, I think the I mean, just like you said, the disappearing. How many times have you felt alone in a crowded room?
Oh my gosh. Oh,
I mean, right? Yeah, it's a mess. And I think, yeah, I definitely, I see this in the chat. People are on the same page. And Ellen says, and she's been told who she is not. Yes. And who the hell
right.
they tell us, right, who we are.
Well, they're very limiting people, right? They're not there to help you meet your potential. They're there to keep you in their delusion. So
yeah.
And in the place you need to be according to their narrative.
Right. And at first you argue, don't you? Early in the relationship, if it's not a parent relationship, you argue. You're like, what do you mean? That's not who I am at all. But eventually they beat you down so much that I think you end up like, okay, hold on. Like somebody said, yeah, Mystique says they tell you, he would tell her what she was thinking or feeling. I've experienced that often.
Mm-hmm.
You? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they love to tell us how we are feeling, says Druid. Yeah, that's the thing. And they decide who we are at any given moment if we're still with them. And even if we're not. But the thing that we forget or sometimes don't even consider is that they might perceive us however they do. That's because of their own, 9 times out of 10, projecting their own bullshit.
Oh, yeah, I was just thinking that. Right? I was picturing how, like, I know one in particular that they will project, basically they will criticize, which is a projection, but the criticism's in the form of stating what the other person's intention is.
Yes.
I can see that you're not thinking about the other people in this blah blah blah, you know, like you're not thinking about the children when you do the
right.
Actually it has nothing to do with, like, that's not even relevant,
right?
Because they're projecting and telling you what to think, what your intention is, what you think and what you feel.
And they can literally take that much and turn a nice gesture, like, I don't know, you bring them a cup of coffee, right?
Oh yeah.
And then they go, I told you I was trying to quit drinking coffee, even though they had coffee the last 75 days in a row.
I already had my coffee. What are you doing?
Right. You're trying to make me fat? Are you trying to make me whatever they're making up? Right. And that's a silly example, but it literally is that ridiculous sometimes, right?
Yes, like, Barbara, that is gaslighting, to tell someone what they're thinking and feeling. And then projection is a form of gaslighting. When they, well, no, projection is not a form. Projection as used by narcissists can be a form of gaslighting.
Yeah, like in that case where they're telling you. And so, yes, they are projecting often, not always. Sometimes they're just being saying the worst thing they can, right? Mm-hmm. They have no limits to which they will not stoop. And Barbara adds that sometimes the more people who are around you, the lonelier you feel. And that was, I guess, regarding, I'm going to go back up to the upper part here. Let's see. Yeah, we're pretty much. Okay. I think that's an important point, is that, you know, when you go into a room and you feel completely alone and there's 5 or 10 or God knows how many other people there, yeah, you absolutely, the lonely fact, and maybe it's not just us, okay, but I definitely remember feeling that as early as grade school, you know, being like separate from everyone. And I think that's partially because of, you know, being raised with certain opinions about myself that I later learned were not my own opinions.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like
exactly. They're telling you what to think and feel about who you are.
yes.
So it's not even just, you should do this or you should do that. It's you are this, you are that.
Yeah.
And you're not this and you're not that.
Right. Which is
you think you want to be that, but that's wrong.
yeah. Right. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Wow. Crystal said she got it growing up from her toxic siblings. Yeah, and that's the thing. Oh, Mystique, I almost didn't even know I didn't know who I was anymore. He almost drove me crazy. Yeah. And Melissa let go of a friend for doing that that she'd had for 25 years. I recently had a similar experience. Only like 23 years, but still the same thing.
It's a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, okay. Melissa said something. I am trying to, she basically said, and I can't, here it goes. I still feel guilty sometimes, but then I shake my head and carry on because they want us to feel guilty, right? They want us to.
Oh yeah. You've been trained to feel guilty. You've been told that even if it's in nonverbal, you've been given cues that you are the one who's supposed to be the emotional fixer of your family or your group of people or with your partner.
Yeah.
Or friend or whoever it is. And you've been given these signals and you've taken it on because it's the only way to stay safe, especially if it happened as a little kid.
Exactly.
So you do it and you go, and it is, I mean, even just yesterday, I was doing something that I didn't want to do at all. And everyone else was just sort of playing. And I'm like, wait a minute, I did it again. I just did it again. And I started laughing. I'm like, okay, this one's on me. I gotta like catch it before I do it. But really, it's, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And this point is very valid. Okay. What you were saying, and one more thing really quick. Let me go back to Melissa's thing. But before that, Peggy says they not only tell you what you feel and think, but what you should feel and think.
Right.
Yeah. But Melissa, back to Melissa's point and what you just said, still feeling guilty sometimes, shake your, this is real. Especially if you grew up with them, even if you have them in your life for a long time, right? But feeling like, for example, I still sometimes stop. Like if I find myself talking too much about myself, even when people are directly asking me questions, I'm like, no, let's talk about you. But then, excuse me, my nose is itchy. But then if I find myself, okay, anything from my childhood, like that, here's one, the parental alienation issue. I only talked about it publicly for the first time ever this year, I think, where I actually spoke about it. And the reason is because I spent so many years, like, even though I was healing and I knew and I was better and I understood that all the things were wrong, I couldn't get it out of my head that I needed to not spill everyone's secrets, even though they were about me. Right. And I still feel kind of weird talking about it right now, what happened to me growing up because of that.
Right. Well, yeah, it's like a dome of shame they place over you.
Yes. Just like for me, it was my very existence. That was a problem because I didn't have the right parent I don't.
It doesn't make sense to the logical brain. This is the thing. It's not, the point is none of this was ours. None of it's yours. It never was you. It never was about you, believe it or not.
Right. People don't know it. I didn't know. I knew logically, but my heart was like, no, well, maybe I just won't say anything right now. But I didn't even know I was allowed to be angry until about a year ago. So, we have Chris in the house. Chris, welcome. Yeah, very good. Okay. Sorry, go ahead, please. Where are you talking?
Oh, I don't remember what we're saying. I guess I'd say I'd go to the next question, which is how in the world do you figure out who you are when you were taught you're something that you're clearly not?
Right.
And how do you even know the difference between who you are and what you're so basically we're walking through life and we're like, but this is how I am. Because of my trauma, this is how I am. Because of this is how I am. How do you know that's who you are? And how do you know what You know what I mean? Like, where do you,
yes.
yeah.
And this is why I almost call this stream the existential crisis.
Right.
Right.
It is. Yeah.
Right. Because when I went no contact with my mother, I spent a long time going, wait a minute, do I believe what I think I believe? And it sounds funny, but
yeah, no, it's
over your whole life. And then you suddenly realize, oh my gosh, do I really think this way, X, Y, Z, A, B, C, whatever? And things you've believed for your whole life, you have to re-examine. And there, my friend, in my opinion, that is where the whole silver lining comes in. Because once you get past the fact that you lived a lie for your whole life, which sounds hilarious, and I'm mad about it sometimes. I'm not always laughing about it. But once you get there, then you kind of start to, you can decide is the thing. You can decide.
There you go. You make choice. Yeah.
Am I that? Do I want to be that? Yes, no, whatever. You can do whatever you choose to do is my point. Yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there is acceptance and knowledge and understanding of what you lived through and who you were with, who you were around, who raised you.
Yes.
Who were toxic people, that they had their agendas, they had their own disorders that creates chaos around them. And so there's all of that. And you can go, okay, then what? But I now carry the trauma. So there has to be, in my opinion, a willingness to be open to the fact that you're something different.
Yes.
And that's like, how do you get that? So I stay in the question.
Yeah.
In the question of who are you? I don't know. Who am I? Who am
I?
I'm
working on it.
Yeah, we'll see.
It's it's really an interesting question, because also, are you the person? Are you your job? Are you, I mean, there are so many ways we could identify ourselves, but ultimately, I think what it comes down to, and I want to talk about this one thing here in a second, but really quick, I think what it comes down to is you are who you decide to be.
Exactly. And how do you get to choice, though?
Right. Well, you don't even know you have a choice until you do.
Exactly.
Right. And that's why I call this the silver lining of going through recovery, because most people never have to take the time to figure that out, because they just did what they did and they became who they are, in a way. Right. Like, I don't know how to explain that, but some people think that life happens to them. And maybe we thought that until we got to the point where we decided to change that. Right. But well, I don't know. I won't talk about all that. All right. I do have an interesting one I want to touch on here, is from Crystal. She said, here's a weird perspective. I'm mixed race. So I had parents telling their kids and what and who I am based off my minority race. So that's a messed up thing. I'm going to guess.
Wait, what? I didn't understand. Parents?
She's biracial. And she says one of her, wherever she lived, the parents of those kids were telling their kids who she was or wasn't based on her minority race. So basically, she's been told for her whole life by some people outside of herself who weren't her family directly, I guess, people at school and stuff like that, that she was black or white or whatever race, the minority race that she has. I'm guessing she might have gone to school where there were less of the minority race there.
Yeah, and then you are you're having everyone's prejudice and opinions and viewpoints projected on you,
right?
And you're like, I'm just a kid, man. Let me be a kid. Yeah.
I have several cousins who are mixed race, and they struggled. My sister's children are beautiful, amazing children, but they are also so. But it's different today than it was.
I hear this in our house. Yeah, that. Yeah. Not from actually. Anyway, long story with that one, but but no, I've heard that from many friends.
Yeah,
that it is depending on your age, especially, and conflicting and confusing, and like evaluation of your worth and who you are based on other people's opinion of something that is completely skewed.
Right, and something they don't. I mean, the truth is, people are people. And that's it. I mean, anyway, but I think that's probably a very real toxic issue. And it's still happening. I'm not saying it's not still happening.
Oh, totally. But yeah.
But when we were kids, I think
it was acceptable. when we were kids.
Yeah.
Not really, but you know what I mean, like society wise. Yeah.
I remember spending the night with my cousins, and one night we were all sleeping in the same bed, like four of us. And one thing that was said that night was like, they they were like, I wish I was this and I wish I was that. And I was like, you guys are beautiful. What are you talking about? And they, there's this whole thing that they explained to me. They said, well, the white girls don't like us because we're this way, and the black girls don't like us because we're that way. And we just feel like we don't know what to do with ourselves. And, I had no concept from,
like, how do you,
at the time,
yeah.
I just said, well, I love you guys. And I think just be yourself. What are you going to say? You're 10 years old. You know what I mean?
Right.
I said the best thing I knew how to say with no experience doing what they're doing, living that life. But I know that all I knew is I loved them. I thought they were beautiful and amazing. You know what I'm saying? But I think on another slightly weird note, my mother did her very best to hide my father's ethnicity from me for my whole life, and I found out anyway. But it's crazy. Okay.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, it's just why even?
It doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
No, but Crystal, that definitely could get to your head and make you feel, some kind of way about people.
She's saying later on that I sometimes wonder if my narcissist ex zeroed in on me because I'm mixed race, and those in my minority race treat women as second class, and maybe he thought I was going to be the same.
Ooh, I can't speak to that personally.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought though, and also, that's horrible thought, and also you're probably not too far off if you're suspecting it.
Yeah, our society up to a point gives certain people passes, and I'm talking about men. Sorry, men, but women too, though, in different ways, right? Like female narcissists are very often not noticed by people because they're mothers and they're, or they're taking care of someone, or there are some who are pretty out there, but the mothers get looked over a lot, which is why a lot of people think we don't have as many female narcissists.
Oh my gosh, I would say there's probably more women.
I almost think that, yeah.
Yeah, based on the amount of moms that are out there that are.
I mean.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and there are certain tendencies I think moms can have. Like I think it's how do I put this? So when I was growing up, if I did anything wrong, my mother would always say, "You did this to hurt me," and I guarantee if I'd even thought of her in that moment, I wouldn't have done it, right?
Right.
But, today, I heard myself say in my head, not today, right now, but in the last 10 years, I heard myself say in my head when my kid did something that I thought was terrible and awful. I never said it out loud because I knew from what it felt like, but I said in my head, he's doing this to hurt me. And I thought, what?
Whose narrative is that? See, right there, that's a perfect example of how we're taught to not be ourselves.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's a perfect, and you catch it and it's someone else's voice.
Yeah. Because I logically understand that if he had thought of me,
you still had the feeling.
I had the feeling
for a second. Yeah. And so for a hot minute, you weren't you.
That's right. And I thankfully I did, figure that out before the words came out.
Right. No, I mean, that's a really good example of that though. And so how do we become who we're supposed to be?
That's it. And I think a lot of it is choosing, making a conscious choice.
It's all knowing we have choice.
Right.
And then choosing.
Right.
And it's like leaping outside of that neural pathway and choosing something different, even though it's going to feel awkward and uncomfortable and you maybe don't know what to choose yet.
Right. You know what you do? What I do is if I don't know what to choose yet, I'm perfectly happy to say so. Like, what I mean is I used to have so much shame around my whole self, everything that I am, everything that I was. And at some point in my life, maybe I'm just old, I don't know, and I'm just kidding. No, I've been doing the work. But I got to this point where I realized what really matters and what really doesn't matter so much. It's a process. But
I think just understanding what is and isn't yours.
Yes.
And it can just be a matter of just questioning it.
Yeah.
Where does this come from? Is this my actual thought?
Right.
Yeah.
Just like that story I've told you guys 1,000 times probably, but some of you might not have heard it yet. The time I was at the grocery store and the lady handed me back my change and she's like, "Here's your change, honey." And I didn't instantly, without even thinking about it, I bristled. And it was because growing up, I realized I was polite, of course, but inside I felt like, But then on the way home, I'm like, why do I care if an old lady calls me honey at the grocery store? Like, what does that even mean? And I thought about it and I realized that it was because when I was 10 years old, my mother had a whole conversation with me about how because she had me young and she always felt very self-conscious of that. And so she would always try to act older. So if people called her honey or sweetie or baby or whatever, she would feel insulted by that. Right. And so she felt like they were talking down. And so automatically in my little 10-year-old brain, that became the law. So people, do you know what I'm saying? And that really was never a problem. I don't care. You can call me whatever. Just call me baby. Okay. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Thoughts?
For example? That's good. Yeah. I'm just.
Yeah. Oh, this is good from Fender Gal. She says, my mother tells me I don't really mean what I say when I'm expressing something. I correct her now. Good for you. Yeah, that's important. I mean, if you know, there are some toxic parents who are a little bit toxic, but you know, you can maintain boundaries and get through it. And that is great. I mean, some people don't need you. Sometimes when it's your parent, you don't need to go no contact, right? But sometimes you do, and you'll know whether that's what it is. But when it comes to a relationship, you know, a romantic or a friendship, yeah, you got to say what you think, but you also have to, no, you don't have to say, hold on. Personally, I don't actually advise that to them. But, you know, just move on up. But I'm all over the place. Sorry. Do you
Tanya saying, I hear many times still, in quotes, I'm imagining hearing in her head, I know you better than you know yourself.
I've literally heard those words. Who else?
How is that, I wonder? Yeah.
Sorry, keep talking. Sorry.
No, that's it. Yeah, it's what they do. Because, and by doing that to a little child or to a young person, they're like, oh my gosh. I mean, you could tell your kids you have eyes in the back of your head. I said that once as a joke because my kids were like, how do you know when we're fighting in the back of the car? And they were little enough. I said, I have eyes in the back of my head, but I was totally kidding. And I'm like, ha, 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 you know.
Right.
And my younger one for years was always looking at the back of my head. And I'm like, and then finally he said, oh my gosh, I thought you really had eyes there. I'm like, did I say that? I remember now, was totally playing with you guys because I caught you being naughty in the back and poke each other.
My grandpa used to do
that. But see, you say things like to a child and they believe it as truth. Especially
when you are their parent.
Exactly. And so when you say things like, I know you better than you know yourself after a child had done something.
Right.
And so they're feeling caught and guilty for something that's totally normal, probably. Yeah. They're going to believe that they don't know who they are, and their parent has to tell them who they are and direct everything they do. It's okay narcissists control you.
It is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, it is crazy. I actually have more than one attorney client right now. That's weird. But one of them they're both gorgeous and amazing and would blow you all, you know, you would love them. But the point is not that. The point is that one of them has allowed someone to take her to the point where she doesn't even recognize her beauty and her intelligence and everything. She's literally like, I don't know. I feel like I just think it always amazes me when I see such gorgeous people, you know, people here, clients, I'm sure Lise, you've experienced it too, where you're just like, are you like, from an outside perspective, if you didn't understand narcissistic abuse, you would think these are people who are highly accomplished, have good hearts, have beautiful faces, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like there should be no logical reason that they would think.
What do they got to be upset about? Kind of.
Yeah, like they're nearly perfect, and I'm over here like, what? But I understand why. You know what I mean?
Yes, of course. Yeah,
that's the part.
They've been taught to not know who they are.
Yes.
And then to see who they are when they are. It's really hard for what I call my A-type women clients. It's not so much with men, with the that are hyper achievers. I mean, they are super achievers. They're super go-getters. They're successful. They're beautiful. They're put together. They don't have to do much. They just kind of slap it on. You know, they're just that, right? Okay.
So there's me over here with spackle.
And that they a lot of people were taught to achieve. You must achieve. That's who you are. You're an achiever. You do well. You do this. You do that. So they were kind of pushed into this, and then at the same time told, "Don't you brag."
Yeah.
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 just because your face is pretty doesn't mean you can get away, like it's, so they were fed all the information about how amazing and beautiful they are in a love bomby golden child kind of way. But not, it's more, there's got to be another category. It's not a golden child, it's the achiever. It's the one that the narcissistic parent
often the invisible
fast
child.
tracks. That
too.
Yeah, and they fast track that child to succeed on everything. And
I think,
No, and they're told at the same time, you're not worth anything.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the worst part, because on the one hand, they, yeah. And that's so the mother or the father will tell them, like, let me go back to an attorney person for a moment. The mother pushed, this one of my people is that way. Her mother pushed, and she became, lots of things, beauty queen, attorney, et cetera, all these things. And then it was, it's not that hard. You're just whatever. You went to a lot of, like they kind of,
basically you were given it all. So you've not achieved anything.
And that is not possible, as far as I'm aware, for law school and passing the bar.
No, she did the work. She deserves her own. Yeah.
And then the thing is, a lot of times we're talking a lot about parents here but the fact that it carries on. So the narcissist or the toxic person in your relationship, if you happen to run into another toxic person and you marry them or you stay with them or whatever, you end up, even friendships, you end up losing yourself because they almost pick up where your parents left off, and you're already messed up from your parents.
Right. You just keep sitting on the same lie over and over again with different people.
It feels normal to you.
It feels normal. Yeah.
So bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So how are you? Are you okay on time?
Yeah. Ellen was saying, I think being pretty made people think I was automatically dumb.
Oh, yes. I'm not saying I'm pretty, but I am saying I've had people think I'm dumb even recently. And I kind of enjoy it now because seriously, please underestimate me. I like it. I am a little scattery and I am a little this and that and the other thing. And I do laugh a lot and I try to have a good time, but that doesn't make me stupid. That makes me super fun.
Exactly. And see, right there is another, you're doing these great example, like in action examples. Right there is an example of someone telling you who you are and what you are. And you having your own valuation of yourself based on what you know of yourself.
Exactly.
Not
and the thing,
choosing. Yeah.
Right. And I know that a lot of women in general, if you dare to put on some makeup, or wears and I'm not saying there's anything right or wrong with it, okay, with wearing makeup or not. I don't give a shit, whatever makes you happy. But when someone else tells you, oh, because you look this way, you like pink, you whatever, they don't tell you that. They just look at you and assume things about you and maybe say things to you that make you know that they think you're not smart, So I got about 2 more minutes. I'm really sorry. I just realized how we're not. I could move this, but anyway, okay. Where were we? Let's see. Hello. So are you still there? Can you hear me?
I'm here. I'm looking for.
Okay. I have one from Fatima that I will bring up. I'm constantly planning and obsessing over the future because I'm terrified of worst case scenario. So I always rely on others for reassurance and safety. Now, I happen to know that you're pretty young, Fatima, and I know that your situation is, if I remember correctly, there's a sibling, right? And you're with parents, or did you guys move? I'm not sure. Okay. Peggy offers good advice, says getting feedback is normal and healthy. Needing constant validation is something that only comes when you realize, not needing constant validation is something that thank you, that that only comes when you realize that you're fine just the way you are, that you're worthy.
Well, and part of it is, you know what? It's okay to make mistakes. Nobody told you that, right? Ever?
Yeah. Right.
It's normal. It's not only normal, it's healthy to make mistakes, to have things fail, to have things not work out the right way, because then you learn what does work for you and how to change things and how to grow things. And you have different experiences, and it's not a bad thing.
Right.
No one tells us that. You don't need other people's approval. You are allowed to have your own opinion. That's another thing we're not told.
Yes.
You know,
Oh my gosh, yes.
yeah.
Your own opinion is valid and worth hearing too.
Whether it's
But
right or wrong,
correct.
you get to make your own mistakes. Isn't that lovely? Yeah.
And to me, that I'm still thinking, I'm not sure. Like I know logically, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yes, yeah. I know. But we have to be open to who we are.
Yeah.
We
Oh,
have
by
to
the way,
be willing to ask for help, and
that's right.
we know where to get the help if we need it. We don't have to have all
Yes.
the answers.
100%. That's right. This is interesting. I am a mom. I'm just gonna say I am. What is that? MO2MIN. What do you think that is? You know? Okay,
Motivated?
doesn't know.
Motivated?
Woman, Motiman. Okay, I'm just gonna say I am. Okay, I am says everybody should unite together and start filtering the new generation. I want to talk about that really quick. And by the way, LNC, I think that you are pretty. It's okay to say so. But anyway, says everybody should. I am a whatever. Says everybody should unite together and start filtering the new generation. I think that this is part of what we're doing here right now. And what I mean is, we can't change the past, but we can change what happens next. So if we, for example, treat our children in such a way that they know that they have minds that are functional, opinions that matter, and thoughts and feelings that matter, and all that stuff, we can, and then balanced with accountability and teaching them empathy and things like that. I mean, we can really change the next from here on out. You know what I mean? We could take what happened, and I think if you look closely, there is some of that happening from very early on. I mean, in the Victorian days, they had all these really unhealthy poisons in their house. As a society, we're moving up. Anywho, all right. Lise, how is your? I think I'm gonna have to go in just a minute, but do you have another one you want to pull up?
I'm looking real quick.
Oh, I like this one from Barbara. I'll say this really quick. She says, how can we possibly grow if we don't make mistakes now and then? I know that's not completely a whole thought here, but it kind of does. It's a good, important thing to point out, because we are going to make mistakes, and if we don't continue to beat ourselves up, but instead we take time to go, wait a minute, that was a mistake. Let me think about that. Why did that happen? Or wait a minute, maybe I shouldn't have done. I shouldn't have always been this religion. I should have been that one. Whatever. I shouldn't use religion, but whatever it is that you think you believe, you have to be willing to unthink it if you're going to evolve as a human. Go on, Lisa. I'm sorry.
PR has one that's good here. It says, it's a great thing to think that when someone is gaslighting or projecting, etc., it's not about you, it's their issue. That's what I've been saying over and over and over. Yes, it is about them. It's not about you. Always. So then people say, though, like, aside from that, I'll say, people will come, like they'll say, Lise, blah, blah, blah. And they'll tell me exactly that. They did this projection. I go, okay, number one thing, that wasn't about you. That's about them. That's their issue. That's their opinion. That's their perspective. That's them. But if I hadn't done the thing, they wouldn't have treated me this way. And again, I say, no, you can do anything with a narcissist and they're still going to do the things they do because it's how they act. There is no perfect person that can outdo narcissism in another person. You can't you can't be anything other than the projection of their delusion that they put on you. That's all you can be. So it doesn't matter. I mean, because I can remember doing everything really perfect one day, like perfect according to the rules, right? We learned the rules. And then watching him say the words that he would say if I weren't being perfect. And I would think like, whoa, it really is him. Because I know I watched myself do it. I did the thing perfect according to his rules. Yeah. And still he's like, you're very rude and disrespectful. And I'm like,
He'll find something, right?
Something, yeah. And yeah. So you see, it isn't about us.
It's never,
They try to tell you it's about you for so long that you believe it.
Right. Yeah. And often they go like, even when literally there's nothing, like Lise just said, nothing you could have done differently as far as you're aware. And it was every prescribed step and cell of the, you know what I mean? And then, there's there's something else wrong. And the reason is, in my opinion, they are dumping emotional garbage on you. Often, and that's just an extra bonus to the manipulation and control, because they can't do that to other people in their lives, right? They can't, like, if they go to work, they can't vomit all over someone.
Oh, well, they do, but then it's small,
sometimes.
Less,
but,
yeah,
right,
less personal,
less venom. Yeah. So they come home and they just find everything to complain about, and there it is. Oh, I want to say, this is from Barbara. She says, children might take it literally. She said, when my father said he might be fired, I pictured a big bonfire. I think that's cute. It's funny, but it is true. I remember taking certain things literally, like Santa Claus being able to see me when I'm sleeping and knowing what I'm doing when I'm awake and all this stuff. Oh boy, I really went crazy with that one. Prayers and everything to Santa Claus. I was really offended. Yeah. Fifi McGee says, doing much better now at an amazing place at 52, but still struggling. We've all, you're not the only one. Starry Night doesn't speak to the entire family anymore. Is the scapegoat. Same, except for my nuclear family that I mostly created. One of them didn't come out of my body. That's my husband, anyway. Technically. Okay. Let's see here.
What's the question? I'm looking for it. I'm looking. Okay. Sorry. Chat.
No, you're fine.
Chat.
Okay. Melissa says, I sold myself short a lot until I met my husband and thought how lucky I was, because I felt like I didn't deserve him. Now that's actually a really good point, because I think I did that with my ex a little bit. I want to say it was almost like obsessive with him. But the truth was, in that case, he didn't deserve me. But only because I didn't, I jumped in like an idiot, because he was like, here I am. And I was like, I need people, in the past now. Crystal had her kids convinced that she was able to see through walls. She could see their reflection in glass, so she knew what they were doing in another room. I love it. I mean, when they were little kids, that's funny, but I'm sure you didn't always.
I know. Yeah. It was to the joke of like the eyes in the back of the head. I mean, when you say things like that, it's like such a cliche. Like, I got eyes in the back of my head. Like, how are they believing me? And then you realize, oh my God, that was, from that experience, I realized how impressionable my children were to the words I said, and it made me more careful.
Yes.
Yeah, even though that was silly, and it, but it, yeah.
Totally. Yeah. All right, you got one more question for us?
I don't. I can't find the question. It's
Ricky Spanish says, thank you for all you do. Yesterday was 3 years divorce from the narcissist. Life became awesome. I am so happy to hear that, Ricky. Big hugs to you and congratulations. That's a beautiful thing. Yes. Whenever you're ready, just break in. I'm just gonna keep talking until you have your.
I don't know.
Okay.
It might be way back. I don't know. Let's start over.
Okay.
Yeah. I just know there was a question, something about just leaving a narcissist. It sounded like someone needed some help, so I didn't want to leave them before.
Oh, Anita says it's 4 years. It's taken 4 years to leave. Still awful. Feel you. It does get better if you choose to. I would focus on healing and focus on trying to find things that make you happy, and it gets better. It will get better every day, this much, but eventually, yeah.
Yeah, it takes time and it takes effort.
Right.
And redirecting your thoughts. Stop thinking about them and start thinking about you. Once you realize for real that this was never about you, it was always about a selfish person who can only think inside their own head about themselves.
Right.
Then why give them an ounce more attention? I mean, I get why, because you're trauma bonded and you're thinking.
Right, logically we get, yeah.
And you're missing the love, quote unquote, that they gave you and whatever, but that person is never going to be anything other than they are. Right.
That's right. They cannot. I mean, okay, that's not true. I really believe that at the very core, if they were to get, and I'm laughing because it's never happened, but if they were to go through like maybe inpatient treatment for like a year and have like constant directed therapy that was very, with qualified professionals. Maybe, maybe
I don't know. They might have to also live on an island where they were, where they chose to serve the community around them. And then on that island, they'd be faced with obstacles like that let them push up against their own ego and have to like really work at. There'd have to be a really
sounds like a great reality show.
Wouldn't it? Narcissist Island.
They would have to learn.
You're off.
Yeah.
What's the play?
Only if we get to be the judges, okay? That's awesome. Anyway, yes, Narcissist Island. It would literally have to be that extreme, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't. I've talked before about that.
It's way easier, you guys. It's way easier for them to just move on. Yeah. And find someone else that will take their nonsense for however many years they take it.
That's how it goes. I mean, that's how it goes.
It's way easier. I mean, heck, it's way easier for us to just like, it would be easier if we could, but we're so traumatized from it that the thing is they're not traumatized from us. Right. They may be from other things in their life, but instead of facing it, they're avoiding it.
Right. 100%. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Let's see. Oh, okay. So Anita had said, why is it still hurting after it being so long? And then Mystique says, because everything that you thought you knew was a lie, and this will take time to get over the betrayal. That's number one. Also, trauma bonding is real.
That was the question. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Very much like drug addiction. Right. And it seems so silly because, like, probably in your logical mind, you're like, thank goodness that person's out of my life. Right.
Right.
But this other part of you can't find, like, you have no closure. That's a big thing that happens with most of them. Even if it took you 4 years, and even if you had it figured out in your own head, they somehow managed to rip the wound open at the last minute. So there's no healing, no help with healing from them, no closure. Nothing. Right.
And then they're hoovering and making it worse half the time. So, and not letting you, let's just be friends. Oh, let's,
Right.
Yeah.
Anita goes.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, Anita goes on to say, I have gone no contact as much as I can. Now he's saying horrible things to my son about me. This is a smear campaign. Okay. So this is one of those things that it's a common part of the cycle. It doesn't feel good, but depending on the age of your son, as long as he's over like 3 or 4, 5, you could probably just gently tell your son, if your son says, well, dad says this, then you can just say, well, do you think that's true? And if he says yes, then you can explain why it's not true. If he says no, then you can explain again why it's not true. Gently, and not focusing on dad, but focusing on the fact that dad lied about. Do you know what I mean? Do we know how old Anita's son is? Anita, can you put that in the chat really quick? Let's see. I can't. Okay, well, either way, I'm watching the bottom of the chat. I don't see it yet, but I probably just.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Yeah. Hey, Bonnie. We have a whole mod squad here, I think. Yeah, we do. Okay. Or at least the regulars anyway. Okay. Yeah. So I think what it comes down to is
they need to be left alone and deserted on Narcissist Island. And I had this image of like the show starts and they're all there and they're all like, looking at themselves, and then they're looking at each other and like, oh, and then you see the helicopter, and then it just goes and it goes away, and that's it. The show's over.
The show's over. They're all like, no, who will worship us? Okay. That's fabulous. Okay, wait. Here's a question. I'm just beside myself. Married to someone with TBI. I didn't realize it could cause. Oh, one day he left. Yeah, actually, I've done a couple of videos.
Oh, yeah.
TBI, and it can become, or at least resemble, narcissistic personality disorder.
It's comparing the part of the brain where empathy.
Yeah, and that really sucks. That one's a really difficult one, but I'll tell you this much: if on a daily basis this person is actively, belittling you, abusing you verbally, physically, otherwise, emotionally, psychologically. Yeah, that's something to think about. You may need to. Okay, here's my I'm just gonna put it out there. It sucks. Everybody, around you might be like, how dare you leave or whatever when they've been through this horrible thing. But if they're treating you like a narcissist treats people they love or claim to love, I don't think you have to stay. I mean, you could still care about that person. You could still even help direct his care or whatever it is that you're doing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But you don't have to be romantically involved with that person.
No, you don't have to stay in something that is so harmful to you that it's actually harming you.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Barbara thinks we should pitch Narc Island as a reality series. I do know some people in reality TV. I'm just saying. Okay. I can make some calls.
Do it.
Anyway, they probably, Anyway, I'm sure nobody's really interested in that because most of the people on those shows.
That's no one wants to see. Yeah.
Well, I just say that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Only people would only want to see it if they really did leave them on the island forever, I think. Okay, sorry. For the one with the TBI thing, you can try the same tactics as we would try with narcissists. There is a chance that, usually with TBI, and when they get to the point where the personality disorder comes through, probably it's not going to change. I would definitely, do some research, maybe talk to some doctors. But did the TBI happen before or after the marriage? Is my question number one.
Were the narcissistic traits there before or after? Exactly. And are they just worse now, or was this like a complete personality shift?
Right.
I mean, and one thing when you're living with, and you can, so we have videos on, I know I do, and I know Angie does, on when you can't leave. What do you do?
Yes.
So try to research those maybe. And one thing that's really important is have your own life, be your own person. Come back to our original topic here, which is how do you be you in life and not what you're told to be. And be your own person, have your own life, have your own things, so that you have things outside of the relationship that fulfill you, that feed your emotional needs. Have some good girlfriends or like fun friends or whatever that give you joy and are low drama, and people in your life that support you outside of that. So you're not just sitting with people talking about the yucky stuff, right?
Yeah.
And if you are choosing to stay in, then you that's where I've seen people be successful, is when they do that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean it's easy,
Yeah. A couple things really quick. Number one, we have that same lady did see our video. I think lady did see the video on the TBI, at least one of ours. And then said, wait a minute, WWD is her name. Then said, they're being sabotaged by this person and the situation here. But then likes the idea of Narc Island. He's 68, TBI long before the marriage. Worse now that he's sober. Disabled, can't leave. Church is supportive but awkward because sometimes he goes to church, I guess. Yeah, that's rough, my friend. That's rough, but definitely it sounds like you're doing the best that you can. And if you ever need like coaching or group coaching or anything like that, you can definitely reach out. Lise does an amazing low cost coaching program for the group coaching. You want to tell them about it really quick, Lise?
We meet Tuesdays and Thursdays at 4:30, Fridays at 11 Pacific, and right now, and it's 4 weeks. You can come to as many meetings as you like or want for $60, and it is you can start anytime. There's not a class; it's a group.
And $60 a month.
A month. Sorry, $60 a month. Yeah,
for
4 weeks. Yeah. So whenever you start, 4 weeks. And there's also a chat. We just switched over to a fabulous app that Angie has been creating and putting together and all of that. And we just switched.
You like it? Is it working?
It's awesome. We have our own. Sorry, we haven't talked yet. I haven't talked yet today. We have our own little side of it for the group, and so I keep it
from everybody.
Keep it really simple, so it's not
private.
A lot of stuff, and it's private, and there's chat there. Anyway, that's awesome. And you also have access. You already have the app, so if you want Angie's stuff, it's right there too. And
Beeping.
Yep,
a good deal. Yeah. But the fact, first of all, just the fact that, just the fact that it's $60 for the whole month, to me, I've told you guys before, I think it's too cheap, but it's so important that it's a mission in itself. You know what I mean?
It is a mission in itself. It's the added support people get on a regular basis.
It's huge.
It's huge. It really can help propel healing if you use it.
Yes. And
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I watch people go from all kinds of stages and all over. And then eventually we're talking about stuff in their careers or stuff in their life. It becomes about them. And it's fantastic.
Right? It is. In fact, I have several clients who I have more coming, by the way, who they want a little extra support and they're still working with me in coaching, but then they want this is 24/7 support practically. I mean, because you have,
I mean, as much as you can. Yeah. Because with the chat feature in the app, basically in the app, you have access to each other to chat. And then I try to come in and help when I can.
Right. Yeah. And so it's such a small group, smaller than our thousands and thousands of, which are still out there, the free support groups, and we still monitor, we still make sure that they're great. But in this case, it's like, I don't know, like I said, it goes well by itself. It goes well with other coaching and with therapy. It's just a really nice place to get a little extra personal support. So that's a possibility. I don't know your budget situation, but it sounds like you could use someone to talk with. So that's why I'm throwing that out there. And also we have coaching one-on-one. Lise has it, I have it. My schedule's a little bit fuller than hers at the moment. So it might be able to take a minute to get in, but you could try. Otherwise, Lise might have some openings. Yeah. Anyway, well, I don't know. Some weeks you get super busy, and then you.
It's just we're in different time zones, though. So
that's right. That's right.
What is late for you is early for me, and so and what's midday because of the different time zones, it helps to spread.
It actually works out really well that way.
It does, yeah.
I don't do evenings anymore, and I think
your evening is my afternoon. So
right. So it's good. Yeah. Right on. Okay, I have to say, Spock says, I can't believe how narcissists can lie to pastors, which is extremely unacceptable. And this is what I want to say about that.
They lie to everyone. Yeah, go ahead.
Pastors are narcissists too sometimes.
Yeah.
Not always. There are some really good ones, but some of them are. I personally know this very personally. And there are lots and lots of really amazing pastors, by the way. So please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm just saying it can be a thing. But if they can lie to anyone, like Lise said, it's not to do with being a pastor. It's to do with they want you to know what they need you to know to give them what they need to get from you. Otherwise, they're not interested in telling you stuff. True, right?
And they don't hold anyone higher than themselves, including anything spiritual.
Right.
So a narcissist doesn't see a pastor as anything more than another person.
Which technically they're not.
I know, but I mean,
but yeah.
When you're practicing in a faith,
sure,
you might think that would be the last person I'd like.
Well, that's valid. Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah. But they don't see them as another person. Okay, I worded that wrong. As another person that is exactly the same as every other person, which is lesser than them.
Exactly.
Everything. Yeah, everyone's lesser than them. Mm-hmm.
I will just clarify for those who don't know. My one of my narcissists was a pastor.
Oh,
so I'll just make that clear before. So I'm not trying to be weird about it.
No, I understand, and that's totally.
Which is why I made the point of yes, they are still human and all that.
Heck yeah, and a good one would say that absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Anywho,
lying is language. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it is.
That's actually very accurate too. Mm-hmm.
Really, it really is. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. First of all, Druid has the low contact gray rock. Give him one-way ticket to Narc Island. Yes.
They also try to stop referring to them as your narc.
Yes.
You disown and completely replace my with the words matter. Choose them wisely. Yeah. There's two. Okay. Yes. And for some people to own that as an experience is very difficult. They can't believe they've been victimized. They can't believe they've had this happen. They're in such a dissociative state about the situation that sometimes using the word my actually helps them connect the fact that person hurt them, and it keeps that person away. So For some
Yeah.
people, my isn't a bad thing. For some people, it is keeping them in the loop of exactly like you're saying.
Yes.
The language is important. So I guess it's knowing who you are. And if
Uh-huh.
you're saying my narcissist, and every time you say that, you feel a pull of that person still with you, time to change the words.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
tried to, in more recent articles and more recent videos, I've tried to pull away from that, saying you're narcissist myself because of that very reason.
Yeah.
Although in my older stuff, that you're still gonna see it. We're all growing together.
Well, and it really depends on who you're talking to and what, I mean, because you've talked to a bazillion people as well.
Yeah.
Like some people,
Yeah.
I find it actually helps them.
Yes, I agree.
Own the experience, not
Yeah.
own the stuff the narcissist did.
Yeah, and what it turns out is that in this particular group, not necessarily the group that's here today, but the people who have been through here, a lot of them are very triggered by certain things. So I try to go as neutral as possible with those.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, and I respect it because I'm triggered by weird stuff too. You know what I mean?
I like the term the narcissist that was in your life.
Yeah, I like that.
Because then it's both. It's kind of both. And
yeah.
And then just how about that person we don't need to even be thinking about anymore? Like, yeah.
The one who shall not be named.
The one who there's no, like, who?
Who shall not be named. That one? Wait,
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Some of my clients choose to put like in their phones, they'll put like DNA, which means do not answer or something, like when, so that when they, when they call you, then yeah, anyway. Or they'll put other words, that we don't need to talk about today. Funny words that I laugh at when they tell me, but yeah. Okay, so wait a minute. WWD, I wanted to say, one of our mod squatters, Bonnie, has been in a sort of similar situation. Somebody else I recently, I can't even talk about that when I don't have permission, and I'm not going to tell you anything too much about Bonnie's story either, because it doesn't matter. Her business to tell, but I'm just saying she might know a little bit. And one of Lisa's clients, who usually is here, also similar, but I don't want to again tell stories. So come back next week and see us, and we'll try to help you feel a little bit more supported either way. Bonnie, I want to say, Bonnie says, my narcissist mother passed in August, but still have other narcissists to deal with. Sad and confusing when a narcissist parent dies because it's still your parent. Yeah, especially when you've been in contact with Bonnie. Bonnie had taken care of her mother for many, many years, and only just not too long before had started to pull away. So I know that's painful, and it is still your parent. And I wouldn't take away any of I wouldn't say you have no right to any grief. I mean, you feel what you feel, and that's okay. That's what I'll say. It is upsetting when your parent dies, whether you were close to them or not. I mean,
of course, yeah,
it is.
There's a feeling, there's an emotion that comes. There's a grief.
So many, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of emotions. So
because you have the parent you wanted to have had, the parent you did have, and then you had this idea parent in your head that, like, almost like the one you wanted to have, the one that they were when they were being really, really good. And it's a confusing mess. Whatever you feel is okay. Let me tell you that. I've talked to a lot of clients, whether their narcissist parent died or their narcissist spouse died. It's always confusing. And sometimes people feel guilty because they don't know that they're allowed to feel as relieved as they do.
Oh yeah, I was thinking that too when you were talking. Yeah. Thinking sometimes they're relief, and then there's guilt, and then there's relief and guilt and relief.
Because people come to them and they go, "Oh, I'm so sorry for your loss. You must be devastated." And they're thinking, "Well, no, not really." But and so what I'm saying is, whatever it happens to be for you, I support you, and you are allowed to feel anything that you need to feel as you process that grief. But do process it as you can, and when you're ready. Big hugs to you, my friend. Okay. Anything else that you want to touch on before we get?
I don't see anything that I'm.
Okay. Oh, I like this. Barbara says, be Teflon. Don't let their projection stick. Yes, please. I like that one. Yeah. Okay. Paradise without people is boring too, says, I am a, what is that? Is that, Motwin. Okay. Hey, I am a M. Could you please phonetically type the last word of your name right now real quick? Because I would love to know how to say it properly next time. I don't want to mess that up. Okay. Oh, my pleasure, Bonnie. Okay, Lise. Let's see. Yes, if we can get that, that'd be great. I would like to stay all day, but I have
Yeah,
a
I
couple
should go.
people waiting for me. So yes. Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you. We will see you next week. Lise, I don't know. Now, the last couple times when I said to you, when is your next live stream over on your channel? You were like tomorrow. And then I saw you go live. Moomin. Okay. Moomin. I am a Moomin. Oh my God. Oh wait, that's what Ellen said. Okay. I'm gonna assume that unless I am a tells me. Oh, here it goes.
Believer. Okay.
Oh, believer. Oh,
Thank you.
believer. Thank you. I'm sorry for my ignorance. I didn't miss that one. Thank you. I love that. Actually, really cool. I'm a believer. Moomin is how you pronounce it, right? Moomin. Okay. You guys, I appreciate you. And Mummin, says Ellen. Mummin. Okay. Thank you, Crystal. Thank you, Bonnie, Ellen C, Christine, UNA, Bonnie, all of our mod squad in the house. Crystal, a member in the house. Thank you, guys. I need to learn more about Ellen C because I did not know any of that that she just talked about. All right, you guys, we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, wait, Lise, next time you're on your channel. When is that going to be?
Oh.
She's going to say like another day, but then she might show up later today. I've seen this like in the last week.
I don't know. I don't have my calendar. Let's put
Okay, we'll go into the description and make sure you subscribe to Lisa's channel. Hit the bell notification, right? And mine while you're here, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
but
them all. We're all good.
We're all good. Mostly. I mean, all right. Anyway, we're regular people. We will see you guys next week. Thank you so much. And go over to Lisa's channel and hit the subscribe and the bell notification. See you soon. Thanks, Lisa.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. And I'm getting there. Okay.